Today, the PC processor industry is dominated by AMD and Intel, with essentially 100% market share in laptops, home computers, and servers. But in televisions, infotainment systems, smart devices, and particularly in smartphones, they have almost zero market influence. So why is there such a divide between these two markets? It's not performance. Modern smartphones are just as powerful as home computers. Discovering the answer is critical in understanding why the home computer industry is becoming armed and dangerous. To find it, we need to go back to 1981. This was at the beginning of the home computer revolution, and Acorn computers were a key player in the UK. Their first computer, the Atom, was a minor hit, but the real success came with the follow-up. The company had signed a deal with the BBC to produce a computer for a series of educational programs as part of the broadcaster's computer literacy program. The computer was developed quickly and was released as the BBC Micro, which went on to become one of the best-selling home computers of the period. Its success was linked to the education market. As part of the program, the government subsidised computers in schools by offering 50% off, provided that they chose one of three models: the BBC Micro, Sinclair's ZX Spectrum, or RM380Z from Oxford company Research Machines. The Micro was the obvious choice, however, since it was the machine that was featured in the BBC television programmes. To capitalise on their success, and to address the lower end of the market being dominated by Sinclair products, Acorn released the Electron, a cost-reduced version of the BBC Micro. During this time, Acorn engineers began to think about a next-generation machine, but found existing 16-bit microchips, such as the Motorola 68K, to be lacking. The company therefore decided to start development on an in-house solution called the Acorn RISC machine, which was based on the reduced instruction set idea that would become popular in the late 1990s. The project resulted in the ARM1 microprocessor, which was mainly used as a coprocessor to speed up the development of the ARM2. The ARM2 would be used in the Acorn Archimedes, the successor to the BBC Master, a more powerful version of the BBC Micro. The machine saw success in education, but most people chose to upgrade their 8-bit machines with either an Amiga or an Atari ST, and the Archimedes never saw mainstream success. Acorn partnered with semiconductor manufacturer VLSI, and faced with poor sales of the Archimedes, they were asked to find partners to use the ARM chip. This led to the venture being spun off as a separate company, ARM Holdings. The venture was split three ways. 1/3 was controlled by Acorn, another third by VLSI, and the final third by Apple, who wanted to use the chip in its upcoming Newton Message Pad PDA. Despite the venture, sales of the ARM chips were initially poor, with manufacturers hesitant to use its expensive 32-bit design. In 1993, the company was approached by Texas Instruments, who wanted to license their instruction set and produce their own version. ARM accepted, and this idea led the company to create its licensing business model, where the company would produce the instruction set and core designs, but let other companies produce the final hardware. The business model turned out to be a smart move, as the company was able to capitalize on the emerging mobile phone market. In 1998, the company was floated on the stock market and were generating a net income of £3 million a year. Despite a dip in the dot-com crash, the company continued to grow. The advantage of the licensing model was that companies would modify the architecture to suit particular products, allowing a huge amount of flexibility for device manufacturers. The rise of the early smartphone market, led by devices such as the BlackBerry Quark and Palm Treo, further grew ARM's market share. The launch of the Apple iPhone in 2007 and the Android operating system in 2008 led to an explosion in the smartphone market, which dramatically improved the company's profit. By 2012, the company had a 96% share of the mobile phone market. So, in the mobile space, you've got a familiar architecture, consistent instruction set improvements, and cheap licensing costs. On the desktop, an x86 duopoly, where the market leader has a broken 10nm process, and its competitor having an inconsistent record in delivering performance. If you want to develop a new in-house processor for a smartphone, the only cost is licensing the architecture and modifying the chip. If you want a new processor for a laptop, you've got to pay a hefty price for the newest Intel chip, which is slow and suffers from high power draw compared to the ARM designs. It's unsurprising then to learn that the home and server markets are slowly moving to ARM. Cost is not the only advantage. ARM has been a pioneer of heterogeneous computing, the idea that different types of processor cores should be used for different purposes. The big little concept, which has been widely adopted in smartphones, splits the CPU into two or more clusters, which scale from low power to high performance. Additionally, the flexibility of the ARM instruction set means that manufacturers can tailor chips from device to device. Buying an Intel CPU means you get a predetermined amount of compute performance, power consumption, SIMD capabilities, and graphics horsepower. With ARM, all of these can be easily modified. Moving from x86 to ARM won't be easy. The instruction sets are not compatible with each other, and software will need to be recompiled or run in software emulation, where performance can be dramatically reduced. But many manufacturers of computers also have strong mobile divisions, which will aid this transition. Apple, LG, Microsoft, Samsung, and Lenovo all have strong experience in developing for ARM platforms, making the transition easier. ARM-powered laptops have been an emerging market for several years, particularly spurred on by Microsoft's port of Windows 10 to the ARM platform. The Surface Pro X, powered by the Microsoft SQ1 SoC, is a notable example. However, the desktop landscape has been void of ARM-powered systems since Acorn's death in the late 1990s. But even this is changing. In June 2020, Apple announced that it would be moving its entire Mac family away from Intel to Apple-designed ARM silicon. The A12Z, which powers the Developer Transition Kit, is the first desktop ARM CPU in the modern era. Furthermore, all new Apple computers will be running ARM chips by 2022. The significance of this event, combined with the advantages of using the ARM instruction sets, means that it is likely more and more vendors will start transitioning across. The CISC x86 instruction set may have killed off its RISC competition 20 years prior, but now is its time to be retired. It may seem like a drastic move, but as microprocessor development costs increase and progress becomes ever more certain, big changes are needed. ARM may be what the industry needs. We've experienced 75 years of rapid technological development, and the progress of the microprocessor has changed the world. While companies have come and gone, the pace of innovation has been relentless. From the dawn of post-war computing to a home computer revolution. A multimedia frenzy, followed by an explosion of multi-core computing. But with costs spiraling and facing a brick wall of power consumption, we must ask, is this it? Thank you very much for watching.